Everything you love will change. Your body, your relationships, your career, your city. Even the version of you reading this will be gone in a few years. Marcus Aurelius didn't see this as depressing. He saw it as the single most freeing truth in the universe. And once you understand why, you'll stop clinging to things that were never meant to stay. The emperor returned to this idea again and again in his private writings. He wasn't torturing himself with morbid thoughts. He was practicing a discipline, a daily habit of remembering that impermanence is the nature of reality itself. Not a flaw in the world, not something gone wrong, the actual design of existence. He wrote something that most people misunderstand. Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight. Most people read that and focus on loss, but Marcus was making a different point. Loss only feels catastrophic because we pretend things were meant to be permanent. Once you accept that everything changes, loss becomes just another transformation. Change becomes what you'd expect. There's a metaphor he returned to often. Time is a river, and in that river things appear briefly and then disappear. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by and another takes its place. You're standing in that river right now. Your body is changing. The relationships in your life are changing. Your job, your home, your beliefs, everything you encounter is passing, everything. Most people fight this. They hold on, they resist. They create suffering trying to keep the river from flowing. Marcus understood something different. The river is the point. The constant flow is what makes life possible. Try to stop the river and you're fighting against the very nature of existence. He had a practice when he felt attached to something. He'd think about people he admired throughout history. Alexander the Great, Augustus Caesar, Hadrian, men who seemed to have everything, and he'd remind himself that they're all dust now. Their empires, their achievements, their names fade. And that thought wasn't depressing to Marcus. It was liberating. It put his own attachments in perspective. If Alexander's empire crumbled, what makes you think your position at work is permanent? If Augustus's legacy is half forgotten, what makes your reputation worth sacrificing your integrity? If Hadrian's walls are crumbling ruins, what makes the material things you own worth the anxiety they cost you? The dead provide a perspective that no living person can give you. But here's what most people get wrong about Stoicism and impermanence. They think it means you should be indifferent, detached. Like, why love someone if they'll die? Why build something if it will crumble? Why try if it will all end? That's a fundamental misunderstanding. Marcus loved his adoptive father, Antoninus Pius, deeply. He grieved when people close to him died. He built things. He created. He cared. But he did it without the delusion that it would last forever. He did it because the doing mattered, because the present moment mattered, not because the result would persist eternally. This is where impermanence becomes a superpower instead of a curse. When you stop believing things should be permanent, you stop being surprised or devastated when they change. You become flexible, resilient. You roll with the river instead of fighting it. There's a reason Stoics practiced negative visualization. It wasn't morbidity, it was preparation. They'd imagine losing something they cared about, not to be depressing, to genuinely feel what it would be like. Then they'd come back to the present moment. And suddenly that person was still there, that job still existed, and they could appreciate it without taking it for granted. The imagined loss made the present gift visible. Think about your own resistance to change. You're clinging to something right now that you believe should stay the same. Your job title, your appearance, your skills, your relationship status, a belief about who you are. And every moment you cling, you're suffering, you're fighting the nature of reality, you're trying to stop a river. The people who seem most anxious and most unhappy are almost always trying to hold on to something that's already changing. They want their body to stay 25 forever. They want the person they married to never grow or change. They want their career to stay interesting when it's become routine. They want to be seen as successful forever without maintaining their success. They're swimming upstream constantly, and they're exhausted. Marcus wasn't advocating numbness. He was advocating acceptance. Let the river flow. Don't grip the things moving through it. Enjoy them while they're here. Help them if you can. Love them genuinely. But don't make your happiness dependent on them staying, because they won't. This is the discipline. Every single day, think about something you take for granted and imagine it changing. Imagine your ability to walk, your eyesight, your closest relationship, your job, your home, not to depress yourself, to wake yourself up. To remember that the fact that these things exist at all is the miracle, not their permanence, their existence right now. The Stoic answer to nothing lasts isn't despair. It's gratitude, it's presence. It's actually engaging fully with your life because you know that none of this is guaranteed. You could lose your health tomorrow. You could move to a new city. Your career could change dramatically. Your relationships could transform. And instead of treating that as catastrophe, you treat it as the basic structure of reality that it actually is. Here's something Marcus wrote that changed how millions of people see their lives. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The impermanence of things is an outside event. Your attachment to them lasting forever is what you actually control. Change that, and the constant flux of life becomes peaceful instead of terrifying. Your job is to find what matters in a world where nothing lasts. And the answer is always the same thing. How you are, how you treat people, whether you're honest, whether you're kind, whether you actually do the thing you said you would. Those change too eventually, but they matter now. They ripple outward. They shape who people become. Character doesn't last forever, but it lasts long enough to make a difference. Here's the challenge. Walk through your home and find 3 things you're attached to. Your books, your photos, an object with meaning. For each one, imagine it's already gone. Close your eyes and feel it. Really feel what that loss would be like. Then come back to the present. The thing is still there. What changes about how you value it? Most people discover they appreciate it more, not because they suddenly want to lose it, but because they stop taking it for granted. They see it clearly, and that clarity is worth practicing. Most people live their entire lives as if things will last. They put off having the conversation that matters. They don't tell someone they love them. They don't pursue the thing that actually interests them. They live for a future that never arrives because they can't imagine the present changing. And then it does change, suddenly, without permission, and they're devastated. The Stoic approach is different. It says, yes, everything will change, starting now. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to live differently because everything is temporary? Are you going to care more deeply because it won't last? Are you going to be braver because time is limited? Those are the questions that matter. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire on earth. He could have convinced himself that his position would last, that his legacy would endure. Instead, he sat down and reminded himself that even emperors are dust, that empires crumble, that his immortality would come not from conquering but from governing well while he had the chance, from treating his people with dignity, from being someone worth remembering when his name fades. If you can accept that impermanence is how life actually works, everything shifts. Not to depression, but to liberation. You stop needing things to stay the same. You stop fearing change. You start living like someone who knows that time is precious because it's limited, that relationships matter because they're temporary, that this moment is the only one you're guaranteed. Subscribe for more ancient wisdom that still works today. Drop a comment telling me what you're most afraid of losing. I read every single one.